Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Jake and I haven't uploaded a video in about 3 weeks now. The reason is simply because there hasn't been anything I found worth talking about, well, until now. During this dry period I've been playing a lot of the original factions on The Last of Us Remastered and I was incredibly surprised at how well it held up. And it got me thinking, what's going on with Factions 2? And I mean, what's really going on with it? So in this video I'm going to talk about the original Factions, the things we know about Factions 2, and why I think it could genuinely be the king of the extraction genre if done right. So if someone at Naughty Dog or Sony is watching this video, you might want to listen up. And if you want to hire me, you can do so through my business email down below. But seriously, let's not waste any time, let's just jump straight into this. And first of all, I want to talk about the original Factions and what my experience has been playing it over the last few weeks. And honestly, as I mentioned, I was very surprised at how well it held up. Not just with the gameplay aspect, but the community as well. It never took me longer than 5 minutes to get into a game. And again, that's in the worst of times. Best case scenario, I was in a game within 30 seconds every single time. So there is clearly still a large fan base around this and a large community that is active within the game, and I think that just goes to show how strong of an IP The Last of Us really is. Not only that, it shows how good of a mode that this Factions mode is and just how well The Last of Us works in a multiplayer PvP setting. It's a ton of fun. I mean, I've been playing it a lot, and although I have been getting completely destroyed because I'm not very good with the controller, as you can probably tell through this gameplay, I still had a really good time playing it overall, just because again, the foundations of this gameplay is just so good. It's The Last of Us, you know, like it fits perfectly within this sort of game. So after playing this, it got me thinking about that Bloomberg article that we got a while ago, where they basically went on to say that Bungie looked at The Last of Us Factions 2 and said that it wasn't worth continuing because it wasn't profitable. Now that was a really big surprise to me because again, the original mode is still incredibly popular, and if it was still updated today, it would still be making a ton of money. So according to the article, essentially what happened was Naughty Dog have since, after Bungie evaluated it, taken some of the employees off of it, or taken most of the employees off of it, and moved them on to their next single player project. Which means that essentially there's just a skeleton crew working on Last of Us Factions 2. Now, in my opinion, when I read this, I pretty much seen it as a cancellation, right? A soft cancellation. They're not officially cancelling it, there is still a team kind of working on it, but over time they're gonna slowly cancel it, and basically we're just never gonna hear anything from the project again. But I could be completely wrong there, and it could be that the game is actually pretty much complete, it just doesn't have the monetization in place to be sustainable. So the skeleton crew who are left working on it could just be working on cosmetics and various other things to, again, add monetization to the game, and we could still see it in the future. Now, something interesting that contradicts this is what Naughty Dog themselves put out. They said, "The Last of Us fans, we know many of you have been looking forward to hearing more about our Last of Us multiplayer game. We're incredibly proud of the job our studio has done thus far, but as development has continued, we've realized what is best for the game is to give it more time. Our team will continue to work on the project as well as our other games in development, including a brand new single player experience. We look forward to sharing more soon." So again, here they don't mention anything about moving people onto other projects or doing anything. They do mention that new single player experience, but they essentially say that development is going to be continued and they're just delaying the game. So again, it's a bit of a contradiction there because that Bloomberg article made it sound as though this game was completely getting shelved essentially, but here they are just saying that it's being delayed. So it's a really interesting situation, and I honestly don't know what's going on. I don't think we will until the future, if we either hear something about the game or we never hear about it again. But let's talk about the extraction genre in general, because Tarkov is currently the king of extraction. As we know, there is no game that is competing with Tarkov, and believe me, other developers have tried. Call of Duty has recently tried with its DMZ zone, as well as Rainbow Six trying with their extraction mode. But none of these games have managed to get it right yet. Now, what's interesting about this whole thing to me is that the original Factions is actually the first iteration of an extraction game. I mean, think about it. The goal of each game is to go in, get supplies off of the enemies, and extract with supplies to feed your camp. That's literally the whole goal of the game. That's the whole point in the camp system. So essentially, yeah, Factions is the first original extraction genre game. Which makes it really interesting because this is why I think Factions 2 could genuinely be the king of extraction. They can build upon that original game, make it much bigger and add a lot of things in from Tarkov and essentially kill Tarkov if they wanted to. So, how could Factions 2 be the king of the genre, right? That's the whole point in this video. That's why I decided to make it, because I was really surprised that Bungie essentially assessed this game and said it wasn't worth doing, it wasn't worth pushing forward, or it at least needed more work. Because to me, it seems like a really easy thing to do to essentially make this game a reality and make it the king of the extraction genre. So how do you do that? Well, first of all, you expand on the camp system. Again, you pretty much already have the foundations to make this game a reality and make it an extraction game. Again, the original Last of Us was essentially the first version of this extraction genre. So first of all, you expand on that system. You make it so that you can build up your camp using resources that you find in the raid. And again, you can steal ideas from Tarkov's hideout system or Vigor's own camp system. And I think Vigor would actually be a better comparison here. So to do that, you need to add a more advanced looting system. You don't just go in and get supplies off of enemy players, but you need to make it worthwhile to actually go to these places and possibly avoid combat. Yeah, sure, if you get into PvP with other players, you might kill them, you can get their loot and their weapons, but if you decide to avoid other players, you can still get out of a raid with a pretty good haul. Again, I really think they need to look at Tarkov for that, and again, Vigor, because Vigor has also done it incredibly well, where you can go in and not get into any combat at all and still come out with a really great haul. Now, the big thing is what's going to set this apart from the likes of Tarkov and Vigor. What's going to make this different and unique? And of course, the obvious answer to that is going to be the zombies. Adding clickers and other infected to the game is going to add a really unique dynamic. Now, picture this, okay, picture this scenario. So, you know the college area from The Last of Us 1, with all the college dorms, and you go in and you enter that sport area? Imagine that, but in this extraction multiplayer setting. So you go into this building and there's a bunch of spores, so you have to equip your gas mask and you start looting around. There's some bloaters in there, a few clickers, maybe a few zombies walking around, but most of them are idle and just waiting to hear you. Now imagine you're sneaking through there, looting all of the cupboards, looting all the things, and then you run into another team. At that point, you're going to have to decide, what do you want to do? I mean, you can either get into a gunfight with them and fight them, but you will also wake up all the infected and have to deal with all of them at the same time. Maybe you could even throw a bottle in their direction and again get the infected to go over there and essentially get them caught in the infected and either kill them when they're distracted or just watch the infected clear them out. Or you can choose to work together and just be friendly with each other, at least while you're in this spore zone, so that way you don't have to deal with any infected and you can split the loot. And then of course when you get out of that area, then it's a whole different situation. I mean, just think about that. Just think about that entire scenario and tell me that that won't be one of the best extraction games on the market. We know that Tarkov has scavs and Call of Duty DMZ has its own AI, but there's nothing like the zombies in The Last of Us to really spice things up. It will just add a whole new dynamic, and it will actually even sometimes force players to work together or face the consequences when they inevitably alert the infected. Just that scenario alone has me incredibly hyped for this game that potentially doesn't even exist. And again, it's got me wondering, what were Bungie looking at? What was the actual game that they've made so far? Because if that was it, if they were making this extraction type thing and they went that kind of route, how could Bungie look at that and say that that isn't profitable? Well, I mean, there's two possible ways. Either one, the game wasn't that at all and it really is gone a completely different direction, it's more of that team deathmatch style. Or B, they just don't have the cosmetics and microtransaction things there. But don't worry, because I have a solution for that too. And it comes in the simple form of seasons. So here is my proposal. So essentially you'll have seasons in the game, similar to every other sort of game these days. And a season will last about 3 months each time. And of course, as you play through a season, you'll unlock cosmetics and various other items as you go through the battle pass or whatever. But at the end of each season, or rather at the start of each new season, there will be a complete wipe to everyone's stash and camp. Now, this won't wipe your player account, you'll keep a definitive player level or whatever, and you'll keep all of your cosmetics that you've earned, but it will completely wipe your stash, which means that at the start of every season, it gives players an incentive to come back and essentially do it all again, rebuild your entire stash from the ground up. Doing that will incentivize players to keep playing, and it will also get people to buy the new battle pass to unlock more cosmetics each time you release one. As well as that, you could also have a dedicated shop that maybe rotates items every day. Again, you can look at Vigor for that. The only thing I would try and steer away from is allowing players to buy actual items that they can use in the game, whether that's actual guns or various things to upgrade their camps. I would completely avoid that, especially if they're going to do that wipe thing. And to me, that just seems like a solid hit. That's a money maker right there. You're guaranteed money every single time there's a new season if you add new content, new maps, new guns, and various other things. And it just seems like a really good, profitable thing. I mean, again, you're essentially making the king of extraction shooters that you're really rivaling Tarkov. So there you have it, that's my proposal, and it's pretty damn simple. You literally already have a huge fan base surrounding the IP, a good foundation for gunplay and movement, and the world and lore to build, in my opinion, the best extraction shooter on the market. All you have to do to monetize it is add lengthy seasons that will introduce new content, as well as resetting player progress to keep players engaged. Make sure the cosmetic items are kept in theme with the Last of Us universe and you're golden. Something I actually forgot to mention too was the executions, so in the original factions they actually sell execution animations. You can include those in the battle pass and regular store too for more monetization if you want to. You literally already have all the foundations in place, and now I have just handed you the Krabby Patty secret formula, so go and make it a reality, please. Or, you know, hire me to oversee the project and I'll do it for you. My business email is down below. It's just so crazy to me because there's all of these other games that are trying to tap into the extraction shooter market and are just completely missing the mark. Even Bungie themselves are attempting it with Marathon. So either Factions 2 has gone in a completely different direction, or Bungie just have no idea what makes a good extraction shooter, because The Last of Us seems literally designed for it. Anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about today. It's been on my mind for a while and I just really want them to get this game right. If it ever sees the light of day, that is. But that's enough hearing from me. I want to know what you think. Do you think we'll ever see Factions 2? Do you think it could be a genuine rival to Escape from Tarkov? Let me know all of your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you know when I next upload a video, and leave a like if you feel so inclined. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Jake, and I'll see you next time.
All set. Watch your ass. One uniform.